We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
What is up, Cal fans? We are back. It's officially the first week of college football. I'm so excited to be here alongside my co-host, Rob. We are, of course, the California Golden Bearcast. You have found us because we are a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. We are here with some enthusiasm and some optimism because we're undefeated. We're going into the last season of Pac-12 football ever, maybe. And we got North Texas on the calendar. We got some season preview, bold predictions going down. We got a quick update that we're going to talk to about the conference realignment, fiasco, drama, have and the have-nots, continuing our conversation from last time. But first, we got to check in with the effervescent Rob. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm going to try and give so much energy right now, but it's tough. We're recording this at 9:15 a.m. Pacific time. I literally got home 6 hours ago, from Oppenheimer, the IMAX 70 mil version. So I'm still seeing atomic bombs and that type of like practical effect, like just blast white light into my eyes.
No spoilers, bro. No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers about a biography. And a historical movie. But yes.
You're lucky there's Cal relevance here. Otherwise, I'd cut you off.
But yeah, it's poetic because we're talking about Cal stuff and the entire campus is basically shown in that movie. So I'm gonna try and scrounge up as much energy as I possibly can out of the depths of my very, very low volume of energetic battery right now. But it's the season. It's upon us. Like I don't know. Did it feel like the season went by, or the off season went by faster this year, or slower? It kind of feels a little bit faster. Maybe it's just because of all the news that happened during the off season, but it felt less. It felt less long than most other years.
I mean, all time moves really fast now with a baby and being a parent. I'd say the fact that Eva's 6 months is insane. That was so fast. But I did feel like because of the drama of the conference realignment, I think this is a nice segue into that, where I feel like I've been plugged in. I feel like I've been more plugged into that than actually the team. I hate to admit it, but it sort of feels like this season matters a lot, obviously. But if we don't get the conference alignment stuff done, there's some bigger implications behind that than necessarily what our record is this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think my attention has very much gone to where are we going? You know, is it going to be the ACC? Are we going to be left out of the ACC? Are we going to rebuild the Pac-12? Are we going to have to merge with the Mountain West? Or with the American Athletic Conference? Or is it the Big 12 rumor that Michael Silver said that he had sources saying that the Big 12 was trying to make a play to keep all 4 teams, which is obviously the most ideal scenario, I think, um, for keeping what is special about college football alive. And then is the Big 10 making a surprise move back in, which I have sort of been thinking was going to happen the whole time. I think a couple of friends of mine, shout out to my buddy Stefan who said that. Rob, you obviously said that as well, but we're thinking that the ACC flirtation is just a way of getting the Big Ten to eventually come back and come back faster, because it makes way more sense for them to come and swoop up the Cal Stanford. I would love it if it included Washington State and Oregon State, but I don't think I've heard anything like that, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, with all that going on, I don't think there's been any conversation in at least my Cal thread about anything else except for one thing. Do you want to guess what that is?
Quarterbacks?
Auburn. The people are hyped about Auburn. Auburn is going to be dope. But that, I mean, yeah, so I think it really has kept, fall camp starting at the end of July always sort of builds up the enthusiasm. And then I'm usually reading the articles that are, the QB battle, to your point earlier, or what Nick's takes are on the outlook of the offense, or, some storylines from last season. Will the offensive line be better? What will the running back room look like after dealing with some injuries? How are we going to look getting pressure on the quarterback in our defensive line? Like, at the end of the day, like, we know where our team is going to win and lose. Like, we have to get better on the offensive line. We have to get better on the defensive line. If we can do those things, I think we'll be competitive. But yeah, normally you're reading that. And instead, I have just been reading exclusively news on conference realignment.
Yeah.
So I know, what it means, Rob, is I'm just a part of the problem.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, like, I'm in tune with it just because I was at practice and, just wanting to be in the know for that type of stuff as much as possible regarding, the team and questions regarding the team and all that. But yeah, it's tweet mentions and all that stuff, and the information that I am, luckily privy to, I think has geared towards conference realignment easily for like the last 3 months. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I mean, where things stand right now is, apparently there was supposed to be a meeting on Monday with the ACC presidents, and I guess it was to hash out some more details and potentially have a vote on offering us an invitation in the ACC. But the unfortunate incident at UNC on Monday caused that vote to get delayed. And now I don't think I've seen anything about like if it was rescheduled or not, out of respect for the UNC community. So maybe that happens. Maybe that still happens towards the end of this week. But then I also know like there's I think a hurricane just made landfall in Florida, right? So who knows? Maybe that impacts FSU and Miami. So maybe that delays another rescheduling of the meeting. So who knows what happens there? But everyone who's in the know it feels, or at least the journalists in the know and are reporting on this, it definitely feels like they're like leaning towards this ACC thing happening. Like Mike Silver put out a tweet, I think yesterday, talking about, by all accounts from his side and the things he's hearing, is it's pretty much done. Is what he's basically saying on Twitter. So, yeah, I mean, if that's how it goes, that's how it goes. I think the big thing here is we kind of know what the financial numbers are going to look like, and that's what the key of driving all of this. Like, as you said, the reason it's so important is because this sets the athletic department up for the next 5 to 8 years. That's realistically, big picture wise, not as important as just like a single season of football. So I think that's kind of what it's leaning towards with just the financial numbers coming out, all of those leaks. And then to your point, like maybe the reason all that is leaking is to maybe entice the Big Ten to come back in with a competitive offer because of how low the finances, the financial numbers are, that we would be getting from the ACC. So maybe that's what they're doing. I still think like it's 99% done. We're joining the ACC, but you never know with these things, and anything can happen last minute. And then you had like the Minnesota AD, I think yesterday, come out and say like the Big Ten is not done expanding. So I I don't know anything at this point. I'm merely rolling and riding the wave like everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, there is really good alignment with the ACC in the sense that I think the fact that the presidents did step back away from something like football and give the appropriate amount of space for UNC to handle something like a shooting on campus. I mean, I hate to say this, like I just don't know if that exists in other places. And so like you can understand why from an institutional perspective why there's good alignment there, because that from a values perspective is absolutely how we would want that to be handled. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that couldn't happen at the SEC. I just don't know. Football kind of reigns supreme in all aspects of our lives, and gun violence is something that we're all wildly accustomed to, which is super sad. And so I did appreciate that they were like, yeah, there's more important things going on. And to your point, yeah, there's a hurricane rolling through. Definitely won't. I don't think Miami, but Florida State for sure. And then it'll cruise into Georgia and North Carolina, South Carolina as well. So, ACC overall, in looking at the map, it's an interesting one, and how they will navigate that with non-revenue sports, like how tennis and how these other programs in gymnastics are going to be forced to operate is quite fascinating. I know there's other programs that will not have to deal with that, given that they operate in different conferences already. But it's a landing spot that's quite interesting for Cal, because it's not like the problems that plague the Pac-12. It's not like the ACC is immune to those. You already have some dissenters in the conference that want to go elsewhere, like Florida State. You have UNC, who is kind of like the UCLA, where it's like the friendly public school that does have a little bit of the wandering eye. However, seems to be a little bit more loyal to NC State than UCLA was to Cal. And then, and then you have some others where they, like Louisville and some other programs that really want to keep the ACC strong and find a way to make it work. And then Notre Dame, which is kind of, I can see both sides of this, where they're like super excited about it, which is great for them. And then you have other members that are like, it's dope that you're excited about it, but like you're only with us for you're not with us with football. So you're like independent in your biggest revenue sport. So who are you to say anything?
Yep.
And so I think so I think the big thing for me is Cal will get the security they need and the payouts, the revenue payouts that are super important. And it's well done in regards to I think the financial structuring of it, and then eventually becoming a full paying member. But if college football is really just undergoing massive realignment, it's hard to not look at this and say, I could see Cal kind of being in the same position on the outside looking in, unless we have a really good football year this year and a really good basketball year the next couple of years. I think if our programs start to turn it around, the odds of that will be lessened. But if we continue to be like kind of like irrelevant, but like fun, but irrelevant, but like, you know what I mean? Like largely nationally irrelevant. If the ACC were to dissolve in some way, or the ACC were to fall apart, or like they do bring litigation against the grant of rights, and then the grant of rights falls apart, I mean, yeah, Cal could be in this position in 2 years. Like no, like I just think that's like very realistic. I think Cal's one of the programs that should be in this like proposed, top 65, what have you. Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that we wouldn't have control on our own future unless our performance on the field, and I'm talking about like top 15 finish football, top 15, an NCAA run in basketball. If you had those two, like something that's going to bring national relevance to the brand of Cal from an athletic standpoint, very much like the national title run that San Diego State had last season, just vaulted them up. I think you have to have that in order to feel like pretty good about what your position might be should the ACC fold in a couple of years due to, I don't know, some lawyer figuring out a way to get Florida State, UNC out of the grant of rights and into the SEC.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I think the big thing that it's weird, right? Because it's like I was saying how it's short sighted just to look at a football season just from this season's perspective, because we have to talk about a move to the ACC or other conference that'll set us up for the next 5 to 8 years. But a bigger picture from that is if we don't change how the athletic department operates, or maybe even how the university operates in putting athletics and the money that it brings in on a higher priority, then we're going to be in this same situation when the ACC does fall apart, or when the grant of rights is up and there's another like round of realignment happening. So we're in a really weird but good place right now, where if we get a lifeboat from the ACC and we survive this first round of realignment, and with a new chancellor potentially coming in next year, and I don't know. I mean, we do know that our AD is currently under investigation, and with the McKeever incident and the allegations there. So if we, let's say, potentially have a new AD going into next season as well, then you have a new chancellor, a new AD in a new conference, and all of the donors probably are thinking we don't want to have to go through this again. Um, Maybe you see a change there. Maybe you see a brand new, just clean slate type of move. Like, we need to get our act together as an athletic department and modernize within the next 5 years, especially with the financial situation of us not being in debt anymore. I know that the narrative has always been us about being in debt, but like with campus taking on a portion of the stadium debt, like I think our fiscal numbers actually had us, from the athletics department perspective, in the green um, last fiscal cycle. So like we're gonna start to see that effect of campus taking on the debt in our fiscal like reports, and it started last year. And so maybe that's the initial wave to start changing how we operate, and like making sure that Cal Athletics does survive and is pushed into that conversation of, oh yeah, they're and changing the narrative and the thoughts of people about us that we don't care about athletics, but we actually do.
I was gonna say, it sounds like I thought you were being very like coy about where you're going about the AD stuff, and then you just came out and said it. That's the Oppenheimer effect, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, I totally agree. I mean, I think it is one of those things where if you look at like, you're like, all right, we're in the ACC now, maybe that gives some level of higher credibility, more sustainable future. Um, want to bring in an ACC caliber athletic director. And, I just don't know what Knowlton is doing right now. And I think like it would be great. He started off very promising with Knowlton's notes because I was like, oh, this is going to be very transparent. We're going to have a lot of an idea of like what's happening, what's the decision architecture going in and behind the scenes. And they really haven't done a good job with that because I think the potential of it is really good, but you just don't, it's not frequent enough and it's not transparent enough to really do what I think they need it to do. And instead, it just ends up being like shit that we already knew. And so I think like it's like one of those things that is worth stepping away from. It's like, why do we do what we do? Like, why are we doing this at the Cal Athletic Department? Why do we do these things these ways? And is this really like having the impact that we want to be having? Is it creating that familiarity with Knowlton so that he does have a better connection with fans? I don't think so. I think that's like a big miss for him, is that like he doesn't have quite like Sandy, for better or for worse, like everyone kind of knew how Sandy operated, right? Like Sandy was going to take big swings. She was going to go and be competitive with coaches. And we kind of had the sense of like, all right, we knew what the the department was. Mike Williams, we knew that the athletic department was all over the place. Like, and that's a terrible brand. Like you don't want that, but I just don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. And I've met Knowlton a few times. We certainly interact with him, being a part of the press. And it's not like he's a good dude from all I can tell, like from my purview. Seems like a good dude and cares deeply about student athletes, which is definitely a top priority for what an athletic director should be focused on. I just don't have an understanding of how he thinks about these problems, of how he thinks about how to get football more competitive. How do we think about getting basketball turned around, or the decision process to bring in a new coach like Mark Madsen? Just like there's these opportunities to give insight into this is how we think about doing things here at Cal Athletics. This is the way we go about our business. And these are the values and standards that we stand behind that guide our vision going forward, that you would find at most companies, you'd find definitely at other athletic departments. And I don't know if it's because we sit outside of it, I don't feel like I have that. I don't know if it's because I am not on social media. Who knows? Maybe they're doing that all the time on Instagram and I just never see it. So like that could also be it. But that's sort of what I wish we were seeing more there. But on a quick separate note, I wanted to talk about the ACC stuff. The one thing I don't want to get lost in this is the consistency. Like I've been trying to make sure that I'm consistent with this. No matter which way this goes, I mean, if it goes where Cal and Stanford go to the ACC, we have to recognize what it does to Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that everybody else did to us. It's the same conversation we talked about last time. Somebody gets left holding the bag. Somebody does.
Yep.
It might not be the first investor in GameStop, but one of those retail investors that came in and was like, hey, this is dope. I have $700 to spend due to this, government handout, and they lose it all. Somebody gets left holding that. And it's just hard for me to celebrate too much of a solution that isn't the four. And I understand why it can't be the four, but I hate that those two programs are potentially getting left behind in this, because we are solutioning, to your point, Rob, that you've made to me several times, is like we're solutioning for money. We're not solutioning for logic.
Yeah.
All of this is just a money grab, security. It's the haves, it's the have-nots. But it just logically, it makes no fucking sense. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you not stick as a four? Logically, that would absolutely be the option. But it doesn't matter, because the logic doesn't, all logic goes out the window when you have billions of dollars that are dictating. It doesn't matter. No one cares. It's like, all right, And so it's the same. Like, that's why I think, like, when the Big 12 stuff came out and I was like, oh, sick. Or let's say if Big 10 rumors start coming out, I will support those more than the ACC. I would love to go to the ACC. Don't get me wrong. Like, those road trips would be amazing. I think the conference is, very well respected from a basketball standpoint. It would be unbelievably competitive and cool to have those teams coming through. To be able to see, North Carolina and Duke and Louisville and so many others actually come out to the West Coast. I just think it would bring back a lot of excitement to Haas Pavilion too. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, what makes more sense? It would be way better if the Big Ten came in, took the 4 remaining teams, laughably created the Big Ten West, and then kept the continuity of the conference together. And then maybe you had whatever it would be. I think it's the core 8, and then you would have maybe a couple of out of division road trips.
Yep.
It would be very similar to the college football experience that we have had, and I think it would keep the traditions in place. It would stabilize those programs from being left out and being forced to do something crazy with the Mountain West or the AAC or any other option that's out there.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Yeah, it just sucks because, like, how do you balance the emotions of, like, survivor's remorse with, like, actually being remorseful about the situation that you're leaving and the teams behind it?
Yep.
Where I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. Like, we're gonna be all right. But then at the same time, like, 2 other fan bases are, like, they're devastated. And I tweeted that out like last week or 2 weeks ago. Just like, I'm having trouble, like, just figuring out where my emotions stand on that, or like how to balance both of those emotions. Because every time I hear something about the ACC, I'm like, great, we're surviving. But that also means someone else isn't.
Yeah.
So,
dude, it's not like, I think I love that. And then I think the second piece to that as well for me, I'm not even that excited about football. Like, I'll just be honest about it. Like, it has significantly dampened. So here's how I think this is going to go. Way more down on football than I've ever been in the last 10 years. Like, hands down. Just because of all the BS, all of the money chasing, and, like, the end of the sport as we know it. However, then very quickly, fast follow behind that will be, this is the last season of the football that we know, the football that we grew up with, and the traditions that we had before, during, and after college. So then it's like fully maximizing every single second of that season, right? And they're just going to go all in and live every moment, love every moment, attend every single game that I possibly can, attend every single tailgate, like, just being present to what is ending.
Yep.
But then from there, I'm quite curious about, what does this look like going forward? What does this mean for my own fandom beyond this year? Is it because, I think with that change, I say this sometimes like that people love the concept of change, but then the action of changing itself is much more painstakingly slow than I think a lot of people would admit.
Yep.
So it's like, oh yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to operate in this different way. And then it's like, okay, well, like, do it. And they're like, maybe tomorrow. Right? And it's like, I wonder how many people will come through the change, or if it will create an even more apathetic fan base, and that you'll lose some of because let's be honest, the diehards have been carrying the fan base through these last 10 years. That's it. Like, the casual fan has died, right? Like, the casual fan is not propping up Cal football.
Yep.
The loyalists who have been going to every single game have been carrying that 20 to 30 to 40,000 attendance. That is the group that's been carrying this. And that is the group that is most affected by conference realignment. And so unless the casuals are brought back in, which is possible with more intriguing schedules, that people would be like, oh, like Notre Dame's coming to Cal, like that would be pretty cool. Or Miami's coming to Cal, like that would be pretty cool, like a rematch of the Emerald Bowl game. So unless that pulls in the casual fans, if you risk the diehard fans, then there may be even more of a, like, let's be, the West Coast. Okay, I have a million things I could do because I live on the West Coast, and that's a privilege. Therefore, should I invest it in football? No. All right. If I care less now, then going to the park or swimming or going on a hike or whatever you want to do with your time. Or even staying home and watching these now like super matchups that are going to happen in the bigger conferences between the SEC or the Big Ten. So if your casuals go to if they become national casuals instead of regional casuals, then who carries the torch forward? Because you're also risking the people that love the tradition, that loves going out and introducing others to that tradition. And now those people are not as invested. And I don't know, man. It's a pretty fascinating time for the sport of college football. It's a pretty fascinating time to be a Cal fan. And I am quite curious, like, what the next few years will look like. And I do think that I can't wait to revisit this podcast maybe in 2025, because I think that the people that are going to be the most right are like the ones that are predicting that it'll become a major, like a minor league conference. I don't know if it's like, I think it was Utah's head coach that said that he anticipated like not even having to go to class. It'll like straight up be minor league NFL.
Yeah.
I can't see a disassociation with being a student. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But everything else I thought was spot on. I think it becoming a super conference, that the NCAA will go away. I'm like convinced of that. There's no need for it. They're so poorly run. They have no actual governing body that anybody cares about. They've given away all of their authority. They don't have it. They've literally given it away. The NCAA will go away. It'll be run by, network or a group of presidents or something like that. I think all of that was 100% spot on. The only piece I was like, them not being students, I think there'll be some component about having to be a student, having to carry some class load. Maybe it won't be as intense. You could see them reducing that down so that the main focus can be on football. And then there'll be a big emphasis eventually on coming back and getting your degree afterwards, a la Sauce Gardner, a la Steph Curry, and like creating more, I think, cool events when athletes come back to actually complete their degree. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think the thing that I can't remember if I was talking to you about this or someone else, but like, my thing of this is the networks are basically making a bet right now, and they're betting that there are more college football fans out there that would want to watch Ohio, Michigan for the nth time over fans that will follow Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, Stanford, all of those individual fan bases of these smaller quote unquote fan bases watching those games. That's what they're betting on. And once again, it's, as you said, like, it's going to be fascinating to see in a couple of years whether those bets were right.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't play out like they think, then they vastly misjudged college football for what it is, because that's what we understand college football to be. Their view of college football and the viewership of college football is it out of touch, or was it on the pulse? We won't know for a few years.
And here's, from my perspective, right? Just mine. I think that where they will miss is they will miss on the matchups being that people will buy into the matchup and saying that this matchup is so good, I have to watch this. The thing that you don't understand about the regional side is with Cal, it's like, I have a quote unquote hall pass. Anytime I put it on the calendar, it's like, it's Saturday, it's game day season. It's like, hey, if you're getting married, don't get married during football season, right? Like, I do not miss the Cal games. Like, I don't miss them. I schedule time to make sure that I'm there. I have plans. If I can't see it, I watch it later. Like, there's a commitment that is something that I don't miss. And if LSU is playing Alabama, like, that's cool. And that's a great matchup. And sure, I would love to see it. But I don't have a hall pass to watch LSU Alabama. I don't have a get out of jail free card that I can play that say, this is Cal football season. That does not exist. If it's a big game, everyone knows I go to the big game. Like, there's not a single person that's like, oh yeah, hey, can I schedule you for big game weekend? Nope, absolutely not. Andy's booked that weekend, booked in advance for the next 25 years. Like, cannot be there, or cannot be anywhere else besides there. So I think that's where they'll miss, is that the matchups will be more intriguing and it'll probably pull in more casual fans. But that's what I think is, like, the diehard fans that are left on the outside may not. I don't think you're going to get those Washington State or Oregon State fans after the sport literally left them behind, or with us too. We're still in this limbo as well. Mm-hmm. If the sport leaves you behind, why am I interested in watching LSU versus Alabama? Especially if it just becomes minor league NFL, where I already have my issues with the NFL. So if I'm going to cross that anyways and go against some of my own, like, anxieties about watching two different, like, a bunch of people go and run at each other at full speed and give themselves life-altering brain damage, then I'm going to go watch the Niners. And I'll just go to the NFL and commit to my team there and say, cool, I'm all in on the Niners again. I'll pull back from college football. And because college football is essentially just the same thing with a little bit more offense and a little bit more innovation, right? That is an L. Like, that cannot be the outcome of college football. I really hope it isn't, because that's so boring. And it just doesn't hold the same meaning. I'm sure it does for those fan bases. If you're an LSU fan, you're listening to this. I don't know why you're listening to this, but you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But, like, for me, on the outside, yeah, dude, like, no way, man. And I will watch an Oregon game. I will watch these other games. But if you think I'm going to sit down and tell my wife, no, I cannot hang out with you and our baby girl and do something meaningful with my life, I have to watch Oregon go play Rutgers, or even Oregon, Penn State, like, that would be a dope matchup. Let's give it, like, an actual good matchup. USC, Penn State, like, oh, that's a good game. That'd be sick, And I'm like, all right, but are you going to be able to overcome all of my other priorities. Because once again, I don't have the hall pass. I cannot say I need to miss out on time with my daughter to watch USC play Penn State. It's just not, it just doesn't work that way. But if I said I needed to spend time watching Cal play Florida, I got that. Or Cal play Oregon State, or Cal play Washington State, or Cal play anybody, I have that. North Texas, I'm on vacation, I'm on the East Coast. Guess what's on my calendar? North Texas on Saturday. Cal versus North Texas. North freaking Texas. That's what I mean. That's the specialness of what college football is. And the more that we pull that away from various fans, I do think that there's a big risk there, Rob. And I think it's an excellent point that you made.
Well, I think we've talked about that long enough. Should we go into talking about this season and get a little bit more excited for that game that you're talking about? North Texas, 1 p.m. Pacific time, ESPNU. The Bears kickoff in Denton, Texas, where it's expected to reach 102 by kickoff. 102.
That's it?
I think it depends on the humidity point, right? If the humidity point's like at like 60 something percent, that is disgusting.
Yeah, awful.
All right, Andy, let's do this. We're going to talk about some of our predictions for the season, get into some fan questions and listener questions and points, and we're just gonna go from there. What do you think?
I love it.
All right,
dive in.
Let's dive right into this. Before we start, Andy, do you have any overarching hot takes? Do you have like one you want to throw out there? Just off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I have my usual ones, which is I think I see Cal this year. What was I going to say? I was going to originally say something ridiculous, but why not start with just something nice, like 8-4, 8 wins, 4 losses.
Okay.
8 wins, 4 losses.
Can I ask where the 4 losses come?
Yeah, I guess. I really think we're going to beat Auburn at home.
Okay.
Realize people think I'm going to be a little bit crazy for that one. So I think North Texas is a win. Obviously, we're going to lose at Idaho.
You mean lose at home to Idaho?
Just kidding. All right. So North Texas dub. Let me come back to the Auburn game. So worst case, we got to be 2-1 by the time that Washington's coming to town.
Yeah.
Or sorry, we're going to Washington.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna call that a loss. Arizona State, nobody's motivated to play for them because they are ineligible. So let's call that a dub. Let's see. Oregon's damn. Our schedule is rough, bro.
Yeah, it's a
rough for
tough
8-4.
schedule.
8-4. I'm calling it now. All right, wins. Let's see. All right, we'll lose USC. We'll lose Utah. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a rough October and November. We're gonna lose Oregon. All right, fine. And
so that's 3 losses that came in the middle of the season. Where's that 4th loss coming from?
I'm going mad hype, dude. 1, 2, 3. Let's say we start the season
6-0.
No, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna start the season 5-0. We're going to beat North Texas. We're going to beat Auburn. We're going to beat Idaho. We're going to beat Washington. And we're going to beat Arizona State. We'll lose against Oregon State. And then lose Utah, lose USC, lose Oregon. And then win Washington State, win win Stanford, and then win UCLA. How about that? How about that for a season? God, that's incredible.
If you're telling me the last time we play at Oregon State at home is the homecoming game and we're going to lose to them, that just PTSD. PTSD.
We're gonna lose. Dude, Oregon, I want to root for all the teams that have something to play for. Oregon State is going to come out so angry. So I'm just like, I'm ready for that mayhem. And I'm rooting for them. I want Washington State to come out super angry. I'll root for them in every single game except for against us. So I'm saying Oregon State comes out. I'm going to say we're going to have that same mentality. Hopefully Stanford comes out with that same mentality too. I want all of these teams that are like, y'all left us, we're going to come after you. Especially Washington, now knowing that it actually wasn't Oregon. It was Washington that was the one that got cold feet right as they were going to sign the grant of rights for the Pac-12 deal sticking together, and they bounced to the Big Ten. Yeah. That's a dub. We're going to be angry. We're going to be fired up. I hope the coaches are all about it. They're like, these people left you. They think you're better than you. Play that underdog card. Come out and just smack them in the mouth on the road. Love it. And then Oregon State will come in here and do the same thing to us, especially if we sign with the ACC and leave them behind. It's just full realignment madness, Rob. That's what I'm going for.
Just chaos. Just pure chaos. That's what you want.
Yes.
I'm kind of on board. I'm kind of on board with the 8-4 storyline here. Yeah, I mean, dude, that start would get us so hyped, and then that middle of the season would be devastating.
Doldrums.
Yeah. I mean, going 5-0 and then going 0-4 would be devastating.
It's full pain.
Oh my God. Pain. Yeah, and then ending the season 3-0. Dude, talk about a roller coaster of a season. Oh my God. It's like you're like, all right, we can't lose. Our team's too good. We can't lose. Oh my God, our team is terrible. We're going to lose every single game. Okay, maybe we're not as bad as we thought.
It's kind of what the the San Francisco Giants season has been this year. Not gonna lie. June, best team ever. July, awful. August, even worse. And now, as we're going into September,
yeah, we're not bad.
We might be on fire again.
Oh my God! Yeah. I don't even want to imagine like the comment section during like that 5-game stretch and then that 4-game stretch.
Yeah. Oh.
Woo-wee. Okay, yeah, all right, but I'm on board with that. We have some questions and comments that are tied to that, so I'm gonna read them out for you, Andy. It's we got one that says manifesting 12-0, but would be happy with a 6-6 with this schedule. I would agree with that. I think you were talking about it too. The schedule's not nice. N Kicker says which Pac-12 stadiums will you miss going to, and which one will you not miss going to? And are there any ACC ones you're interested in visiting?
I love that.
I can kind of answer this one, and then you can answer it as well. I think Pac-12 stadium that I'm going to miss going to, let's see. I haven't been to many, but I mean, I think the traditional ones are definitely the ones I'm going to miss. Just because of all the memories, like the Rose Bowl, Coliseum, Autzen, Husky Stadium. Or I think just because of the history and the moments that we've had. Which ones am I not going to miss going to? I hate to say it, but it's the ones that's hardest to get to. Like, I would argue Eugene's kind of hard to get to too, but Corvallis is just as hard. Pullman's definitely hard to get to. So, yeah. Any ACC ones I'm interested in visiting? For football, Clemson definitely is up there. Syracuse and the Carrier Dome is up there.
You've had Wendy's Nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new Saucy Nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo or honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker out there, you can try spicy ghost pepper, only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. Listen, I'm going to dare you to do it. I dare you. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs that you already love. Pick a flavor. Grab some extra napkins and then grab a few more napkins and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Miami to a certain degree. I can't think of any other teams, but that would be mine. But what about you?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think the one that I'll miss going to the most is also the one I'll be happiest not to go to. It's like the Rose Bowl is super special because you have all of the tradition there, and it's just like it's the Rose Bowl, and like to be able to play a game there every other year and have the specialness that is that stadium. I think it's great. And then I also think the stadium is like kind of crappy and it's like in the middle of nowhere. It's super hot. You guys sit in a shit ton of traffic and it's like, I'm not going to miss it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So it's like both like I'll miss the tradition of it, but I won't miss like actually being there.
Yep.
But I think if I was like literally going to miss one the most, I love going to Autzen, dude. It's so much fun. Oregon is like going to Eugene and it's so beautiful up there. And Pacific Northwest and then the stadium itself is just so loud, so rambunctious, and like such good tradition between Cal and Oregon. I really felt like their ascension to being a competitive program was right around when we sort of reached the peak of ours. And it like we were kind of ships crossing in the night a little bit, but we did have a very intense rivalry there because of the ties with Tedford, and we still have a little bit of that because of Wilcox. So I just think like to think that we're not going to be able to play Oregon more consistently and have those trips, like that's the one that's going to hurt me the most. I also like going to USC, but it's in a terrible neighborhood, and there's not just like it's just not as cool. I don't think as like some of the other ones.
Yep.
And then as far as like ACC goes, like tons of good options. I think Clemson would get like Louisville. Going out to Louisville would be like amazing. I would love to go out there. North Carolina, like, is an absolutely beautiful campus. I won't go to Duke. You'd have to like literally hold a gun to me to go back to Duke's campus. But it's beautiful for all of those that haven't been. I think, and then Florida State, like Miami, I'm like, but like Florida State would be super, super cool. I've heard great things about it. Would love to kind of get. I don't love Florida overall, but it would be cool to go down there and get to experience a game. I think just in those environments, football hits a little bit different in that part of the country, and very much like the same way it kind of does in the Midwest. It would be so super cool to see. So,
all right, those are our picks. Some other questions about the schedule here. Kai sends us his hot take. Unexpected loss, ASU. Unexpected win at UCLA.
Yeah, I love that.
That's not a bad one. That's not a bad pick. I think those are reasonable ones. But he does throw in the question, what Pac-12 team do you want to beat the most one last time? SC is so easy the pick here for me. Like it's easily the pick. But what about you?
I want to beat UW.
UW?
Yeah.
UW is the team you want to beat the most? One last time?
I do, man. I'm really leaning into the realignment drama. Just gotta like circle the ones that I like think are most responsible. SC is really public enemy number one, and full and the fact that they like hired the AD from Washington right after Washington pulls all those snaky maneuvers. I was like, y'all are such snakes. SC's just like the University of Snakes, bro. Like, my goodness. So yeah, I guess SC is like right up there. I would love to beat USC. Lincoln Riley ruined their all the Heisman hopeful national championships stuff. That would be great. But yeah, I would love to surprise UW on the road one more time.
Yeah, I mean, off of that is we have one more from Cal Cangila on Twitter. It says, hot take: Cal knocks off 2 top 25 teams this year.
I mean, it's not even that hot. Like, I hate to say it, but like we have to. Just look at the schedule.
Well, I mean, as of right now, we play 5.
Yeah, dude. It's like we have to. Like, in order to have any semblance of a good season, we're gonna have to do the Wilcox upsets. Like, we're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, according to your 8-4 though, we'd only knock off one.
Yeah, I know. That's too bad. That's okay. We'll lose. Well, yeah, it's all chalk, man. It's all chalk. It's the chalk roller coaster.
All right. There's a couple more other ones, but I want to dive into maybe some of our hot takes or predictions for the year. Anything? I know you went with. I'll throw in one. I think defensively, I think this defense, if everyone remains healthy, right, knock on wood, um, will be the best defense under the Justin Wilcox era of Cal football.
Hey, give me like why?
I think there's talent and depth at every single position, and the drop off from 1 to 2 isn't as severe as it had been in years past. I think bringing back or just having guys like Ricky Correa develop over last year, having Stanley back, um, allows a healthy Brett to actually play on the defensive end instead of having to play inside. And then of course just the athleticism that they've brought in on the outside. Like Miles Jernigan was actually low key really good for us with edge pressure. The only issue was that he was the only one, which meant that they could double team him. They could shift the line alignment all over to his side. And that's why we didn't see him maybe get, more sacks and such. So if he can maintain that with the additions that we've had with Reese and, Carlton being healthy, like that's a nice rotation all along the edges to actually generate pressure on the quarterback and set the edges. Defensive backs wise, like this is one hell of a talented group. I mean, I didn't expect Noel Williams to be this good this fast. I severely underrated Patrick Morris. Like I'll take the L on that. And just Craig Woodson is a stud. So with not, I mean, we haven't talked about Lou and Earby like that are still here. So like there's just so much talent there, and their ability to play and be versatile is just huge. Like you look at the depth chart for North Texas, like when I was watching fall camp, like we were in our base quite often, but then the depth chart basically lists us playing like a 2-4, like a 2-4-5. Is that right? Or did the numbers work out there? 2-4-5? Yeah, it does. Okay, like a 2-4-5. So that just tells you that they believe like we have the size to play that and the speed to be able to play that and not be mismatched. So yeah, all in all, I think this is the most talented defense and probably the best defense we'll see production wise under Justin Wilcox.
And Lou's still number one corner, right?
Yeah.
Or him and Noel?
It's him, Noel, and Earby are definitely the three guys that are going to be on rotation.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why we're playing that nickel, just because we can get all of those playmakers on the field. Plus, matchup wise, it makes sense with a team that's so wide receiver heavy.
How are you feeling about like inside and outside linebackers?
Well, I think outside's fine. I think it's, as of right now, I think it's fine. It's a matter of production on the field, right? So on paper, I like it. It's just there's a lot of guys that are unproven and haven't played together. Like Wilcox was talking about that in the presser yesterday, where he was like, look, like ultimately, like practice is going to be practice and we're going to need to like show it on the field. But like, he's like, there's like 50 new faces on the team. Like some of these guys have played a lot. Some of these guys have played a little, but basically a lot of these guys haven't played with each other. So there's going to be a learning curve there. And how quickly they can adjust to that and get better off of that, like, is one of the keys that he noted. So I am fully on board with that take. That there is talent there. You know, the guys have been talking about how this is probably the most talented roster that they've seen. Just like looking around, and they're like, "Oh, that guy's starter. Yeah, that makes sense." And then like, "Wait, that guy standing behind him, that doesn't make any sense." So, like, I I think they're being real genuine about that. So that's kind of where I feel is the strength of this team is that there's so much talent and there's not significant drop off. Um, Inside linebacker is that'll be an interesting thing to watch on Saturday, just because we know Sermon is entrenched as one of the starters, but the other one, like, it's Caleb Elarms-Orr, who we projected as an outside linebacker, but they transitioned him to inside, and he skyrocketed up the board, and now he's starting. Um, that's not to say the other guys.
I will say, usually when that happens with Wilcox, though, they don't really miss.
They don't.
Like Lumagia Hearns did the same thing.
Yep.
Like they don't really miss on those guys. I feel like their track records
Yeah.
speak for itself.
Yeah, the Ashton Davises, the Lou Hearns of the world, like it just, yeah, no one's surprised. So yeah, I think I mean it won't only be KO. Like you'll see guys like Latos and some of those other guys play too. So yeah, I am very excited. I think this defense has the ability to be very, very good.
All right. Well, I love that take. I think that my guy Sam Jackson is going to run for 1,000 yards.
What? What? Oh my good lord.
Dude, that guy is so electric. So electric. I'm so excited for him to be quarterback. And he's not 5'11", but that's okay.
Yeah. So I don't even know how to go about this. 1,000 yards rushing, like, just I can't even think of like how to follow up with that.
That's good. That's what this podcast is for. To take the words out of your mouth.
Oh my gosh.
I see, like, all I heard is clicking, so that's when we know we've made Rob's brain malfunction.
Yeah, because I'm like looking up.
Does not compute.
I'm like looking up the stats, right? Like 2021, Chase Garbers, he rushed for 456 yards.
Yeah, double that. 1,000 yards.
Holy crap! Let's look at 2019 Chase Garbers, 223 yards. So you're basically saying all of what Chase Garbers ran as the starting quarterback at Cal is what Sam Jackson is going to do in a single season.
Yeah,
it's
bro.
basically what you're saying.
That at the least, do you know the athletic difference between Chase Garbers and Sam Jackson?
That's still crazy to say a quarterback is going to rush for 1,000 yards.
All right. Hold on. Let me see. I want to know what Caleb Williams did last year. Let me just take a quick look.
That is wild to me, my man.
All right, rushing. Ooh, I might have been a little aggressive.
Yeah, Caleb Williams at 382.
He had 442. All right, hold on. Let me find another example. What about like Lamar Jackson in college?
His numbers are what about Kyler Murray's? I'll look up Kyler Murray's.
All right. Lamar had 1,500 rushing yards on 260 carries.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So like I'm saying like 560 less than that. Totally fine.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna call it a win. If he gets even close to 700, I'm calling this the win.
I mean, okay, so Kyler Murray had 1,001.
Sheesh.
His final season at Oklahoma. You know what the crazier part about that is? They had three guys basically rush for 1,000. They had Kennedy Brooks rush for 1,056, Kyler Murray 1,001, and Trey Sermon ran for 947.
Wow.
So yeah. Yeah, they had
Oh,
three
I need to-
guys over 1,000 yards from scrimmage.
All right. 2021 Jaden Daniels and 2022 Jaden Daniels. He had 710 for Arizona State in 2021,
Okay.
and then 885 for LSU.
Okay, so I think that
Last year.
that 700 to 800 mark is more realistic. I think if
Yeah, but it's not hot unless
it's not. But I will say this: if he's rushing for 1,000 yards, right,
we might win 10 games.
we might win 10 games. Yeah. I just want to put that caveat in there that like if he's rushing for 1,000 yards, that totally changes the trajectory of this season. Absolutely changes.
That's why we got the preseason hot takes, Rob.
Yeah.
That's why.
But now look, I'll bring it back to earth a little bit. If he does rush for 1,000 yards, the only thing that deters him from the 10 wins is if he throws like 30 picks. Right? Like that's the negative to make it equilibrium.
He rushes for 1,000 yards, but throws 10 interceptions a game.
Yeah. then then that 1,000 yards means nothing.
Yeah, it's very true.
But yeah, dude, look, if he's rushing for 1,000 yards and it's like on a positive trajectory, he's in the Heisman hunt easily. I'm not saying he's going to win it. I'm just saying he's going to be on those lists of like the top 10 guys that are like on the Heisman Trophy watch list as a quarterback.
I'm ready for it, man. I like honestly, if the Cal Stadium doesn't have the Dave Chappelle, Sam Jackson clips ready to go, like what are you guys doing with your time? I don't understand. Like you all need to have that ready to go. If we're not running Samuel L. Jackson clips, like all freaking game.
Here's just off that note, Cal G Bear 1 tweeted at us, how tiresome will the Sam Jackson memes become when our QB is a household name? Because of fully expected stuff like Heisman buzz and undefeated Cal in the playoff conversation.
Yes, perfect. Read my mind.
Oh,
Read my
snaps.
mind.
Okay, wow, 1,000 yards from Sam Jackson. All right, I'm here for it. If that happens, I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. You will not hear it, the end of it, from Andy on this podcast if he starts off like, let's say this upcoming week with like 150 rushing yards. Like you will not hear the end of it. You have given this man all the ammo he needs for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, from there he doesn't even have to average like 100. Like it's cake from there.
Oh my god. Oh, Spav, you have a lot to do to keep Andy happy. All right. I got another one. Going off that 1,000-yard stat thing. I think Jeremiah Hunter has 1,000 yards receiving this season and over 70 catches.
Did he not hit 1,000 last year? I thought he did.
Did he? Let me double check. But I think he does it again in this new offense, which is supposedly supposed to, spread the ball out a little bit. But I can take a quick peek here. Jeremiah Hunter, he had 965 on 60 catches.
I knew he was close. That's a bummer.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think he has over 65 catches for over 1,000 yards.
I mean, dude, I hope so. I can't see a world in that we're competitive enough if that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yep. All right. You got another one?
Well, it's not as hot as my other ones, but I think Jaden Ott will not be the all-purpose leader from our running back room. And I don't know who it'll be, but I just don't think it'll be Jaden.
What do you mean by all-purpose? Like just
I
like
think-
yards from scrimmage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a hot take for me.
I-
It's a simmering take because it's not promoting my boy Jaden, who I love. But I think, I don't know, I could see Stradrick coming in or Isaiah or like, I'm quite curious to sort of see like what happens there. But I think like the bigger take here is that I don't think the O-line will be the main point of our frustration. I'm trying to think like I don't know if it'll be like tight ends or I'm quite curious like where our eyes are going to go towards, but I don't see it being O-line related. I think we're going to be able to run the ball well.
I am in agreement. I am absolutely in agreement. All right, I got another hot take here. This one's been sitting in Cal fans' minds for quite a while. So I think College Game Day visits Berkeley this season.
No way. After 5-0 and then we lose all 4?
Not on that trajectory. Like it's not gonna happen if that happens. But the weekends that I'm looking out for is that Oregon State week and also the SC week.
The Oregon State one. That does line up with my my season projections.
Yeah, because that means if your season's projections are correct, then that means you'd have Cal sitting at 5-0, and Oregon State probably sitting at 5-0, going into a game on Saturday night in the Pac-12. And at that point, if we're 5-0, I'd be very surprised if we weren't ranked.
Yeah.
Um,
No, we'd have to.
You'd have to.
We would have beaten Auburn and
Yeah,
Washington.
he'd be in the top 25 for sure. So that'd be a top 25 matchup on the West Coast, and we haven't played like that, and it's homecoming weekend. So that's
There's good storylines there.
there's a lot of storylines there. That would be one to watch. I think it could happen. Give me 1 second as I check any other games that happened that week that might have that. So October 7th. All right, let's see on Saturday. Kentucky, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, Maryland, OSU, Alabama, Texas A&M. Oh, maybe that one.
Have they announced game day for week 2?
I don't. Where are they going for week 1?
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I know Fox is going to TCU. Big noon kickoff is going to TCU. So, but I don't know where ESPN is going.
Battle of the Carolinas.
Oh, okay. I mean, Oklahoma, Texas is that day too. But yeah, Oregon, Cal also sits there. So, Oregon State, Cal. So who knows? Maybe that's the.
I'm like curious if we end up like beating, like if we end up being 1-0 and Auburn's coming to town, and if there's not other like interesting matchups, if that would be, I think you're like it's interesting, right? Because the idea that they've never come is also a reason for them to come. So like, does that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no top 25 matchups as of right now. Next Saturday. They're all pretty tame matchups.
If we beat North Texas and Sam Jackson runs for 200 yards and Jaden Ott runs for 100+ yards, like if we beat North Texas with some finesse.
Oh no, never mind, Andy. I take that back. No, they probably won't be coming to us that second week.
No,
at least not week 2.
Ruining my.
No.
I was mid prophecy.
I know you were mid prophecy, but there's a matchup here that I'm pretty sure they're going to go to, which is Texas at Alabama.
Oh, who cares about that?
A potential top 10 matchup by week 2.
What about the flair of beating North Texas?
I mean, unless ESPN is like in. I mean, look, we are the ESPN night game, right? That Auburn Cal game is already scheduled for ESPN at 7:30. So it does make sense if you want to set up game day here on the West Coast. But yeah, I think that Texas Alabama game at 4 p.m. That's probably what they're aiming at.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we finally get it in the final year of the Pac-12. We get College Game Day. How hyped would you be if
I love
happened?
that. Unbelievably hyped.
Would you try and make your way out there? Like not
For the
not
6
for the 6
a.m.?
a.m. stuff, but like just to like see the
Oh,
see
no.
the stuff.
I'd be there for the 6
You'd be there at 6 a.m.?
Yeah, have to. Dude, we're talking about like a life moment. Yes. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what the specialness. All right, this is where we're going to wrap this podcast. This is what the specialness of college football is all about. This is it. Like, that's a hall pass moment, dude. That's a hall pass moment. College Game Day is coming to the Berkeley campus for the first time. First of all, anytime I'm getting up pre 6 a.m., I think most people in my life would probably give me an award just for trying to do that. So, let alone, taking advantage of the fact that, we're experiencing something for the first time. I think that's an easy, hey, I'll get you back on this one, but I need to be there. But don't be surprised if I have Eva in my arms and she's there too.
You're doing the whole Simba camp thing on College Game Day at 6 a.m.
100%. Dude, I'm so ready for Simba camp. I am so ready for Simba camp. Oh my god.
Cal Athletics, if you're listening to this, you just got to search out this one man. Search out this
CC.
one man.
Section CC. I think it's CC or C. It could be C. Somewhere in the mid 40 range. 40 to 45.
All right, Andy, before we close out, two or 3 minutes on the North Texas game. What are your thoughts for our season opener in Denton?
I mean, the big things, what are we looking for? Like, we need to see the D-line dominate. We need to see a win in the trenches. We didn't see a win in the trenches the entire last season, and I think it would give a lot of fans a lot of enthusiasm to see that we were able to win that battle. We have not done well historically against like non-Power 5 opponents in dominating the battle in the trenches. So I think for me, like, that's what I would want to see. I'm expecting to see an electric offense, lots of speed, taking advantage of Jaden Ott, taking advantage of Sam Jackson, bigger plays downfield, just wildly different from a little bit more of like the controlled offense that we have seen. Fast, whether it means getting to the line, fast execution, fast players, more highlight plays. And I think if you ideally walk away there putting up almost 50, something like a 48-21, I think a lot of fans get pretty excited about what we might look like against Auburn the next week.
Yeah, if we do a drop, #drop50, that would be nice. That would be very nice.
What do you think, Rob?
I think you're right. I think the battle in the trenches is the one thing I want to see the offensive line dominate. It's conceptually, like the things that I saw in fall camp, I would love to see them execute in a game, and just that sets the tempo. Just having the fireworks of the offense would definitely go a long way, considering how offenses have historically performed during the Wilcox tenure. So yeah, getting that just off the ground, scoring in bunches, having the fans, have something exciting to talk about, because defense wins championships, but offense gets the glory. So you kind of want that offense to kind of showcase itself a little bit. I think for Denton, Texas, come out with the win and an emphatic win. Like, don't leave it up to chance at the end. Don't leave it. Just come out of the gates. Like, we should be up, like 28-7 at the half, and just like continually dominate the rest of the game. I know there's rumors that they're potentially playing two different quarterbacks. One of them, who is Chandler Rogers, who visited Cal and was on our radar during the transfer portal. He is, at least on the depth chart, he didn't win out the job. But they did say, they did say he was going to get, some chances to play. So we'll see that. Looking at the depth chart for Texas, there's not a single position where we don't dominate physically. Like, their entire defense is a lot smaller than our offense across the board. Like, we should be physically dominating the game. On top of them having a new coach and basically more than half their defense being new faces, like, North Texas could get better as the season progresses, but this is a game where we should come out and just be like, look, we've been a team longer than you have. That's all that needs to be said.
Love it. I can't wait.
Oh, well, that was a long one, but that wraps it up for us here on the California Golden Bearcast. You can find us on Twitter or elsewhere. You can send us an email at goldenbearcast@gmail.com. Also, Ride for California is having a away game watch party at Tokyo Beer. RSVPs are helpful, so it's on the Ride for California website. It's just a simple. It's a free RSVP. You can do that. Join us. Watch the game. The venue opens at 12. Kickoffs at 1. Food, great beers. Andy can attest to.
Yes. I'm so pissed to be missing this. I saw it I was like, oh my gosh. But I'll be there eventually.
Yeah, we will be. We're planning to do this for every single away game this year. So,
tell me, is there a what are you doing, like a projection? Like a projector?
There is,
like,
yeah, there is
wall?
a projector on at the venue.
Love it. We're gonna make it like Midwest sports watching.
Yes, and I was also told that there's going to be a live DJ, not during the game, but apparently playing after the game. So whether we win or lose, we will dance the night away, folks. So
all right, I got to get on that DJ list.
Do it. Do it. Talk to Young One.
I absolutely will.
Do it for one of the away games. Oh, we got to plan this. We got to plan this where you have to do it after one of the away games.
I'll text them right now.
Okay. So yeah, get that RSVP in. Come hang out with us. Hang out with the writing staff. Hang out with the other Cal communities, and we'll probably have Rico or some of the other guys lead the drinking song, and so it's going to be a grand old time. Come on out, enjoy the nice weather here in the Bay Area, and some Cal football. I think that's it. And
let's come out strong. Let's go.
Do this.
I'm pumped. Saturday.
Just win, baby. Just win.
Just dominate. Win by 50. Drop 50.
Hashtag drop 50 is back with Stab. All right. And that wraps it up for us. And as always, go Bears.
Go Bears.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.